the rules. This is going to be recorded, so watch what you say from now on.
Okay.
And we'll post this onto the church's YouTube site afterwards. So. All right.
So crazy.
Okay. All right.
Dr. Kimberly, you're not muted.
Oh, sorry. I'm trying to. Gosh, why does this thing do this? Wait a minute.
All right. We're going to open up in prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for another day. Thank you for another opportunity to be here in your presence, among others who want to learn something about you. Allow the speaker this afternoon say something that we take, that we can go out to the community and spread the good word of your son, Jesus Christ, in a way that allows us to handle our finances in a way that betters your vision for this planet. Bless those who, for whatever reason, could not be here. Assist those who are trying to get here. Bless the speaker. Bless her family. Bless everybody who has joined us. It's in your son, Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Zelda and I welcome you to another session of the Personal Finance Ministry, 3rd Street Bethel AME Church. And I'm honored to introduce to you Ms. Judith Bowles. Now, Ms. Bowles came to our attention through our pastor, Reverend Boyd. They had some interactions with each other, and he saw fit to relay her to our attention. And after talking to her, I knew that she would be an outstanding presenter. And she fits right in. Let me just tell you just a little bit about Ms. Bowles. She has her life insurance license, and she works with Primerica. She is a district leader. And also, let me say the side, you see a box for Jan Robinson Biggs. She is also with Primerica, so welcome to her as well. Ms. Bowles has 2 adult kids, and she has lived all over the map. She originally from Philadelphia, by way of Atlanta, by way of South Africa. She lived in South Africa for 7 years. So she has a wealth of information about the topics that we have been discussing. And those of you who've been tuning in recently know that we've been studying Tiffany Alice's book. And in that book, we are spending a lot of time on retirement. So Ms. Bowles is going to talk generally about money and aspects of money and how to manage your money. She's a professional and she knows her stuff, but she can answer a lot of questions that you all have on the topics of money, but she's aware that we have interest in retirement, so she's going to spend a little bit of time on that. And so she has a presentation to give us, and without further ado, I present to you Ms. Judith Bowles of Primerica. Thank you, Ms. Bowles.
Thank you, Randall and Zelda, for inviting me to speak today. And I do have a financial service business with Primerica, and I show people how to save money and get out of debt and position their households better financially. And so I meet people where they are on their financial journey and then put together a game plan for financial success. So in the words of Ms. Tiffany Alice, I am your accountability partner. So I did read through the whole book, Get Good with Money, and she begins her book with talking about her journey and how she messed up with her finances. And I think we all have that story to tell. But, you know, some people feel shame about that, about how they messed up their finances along the way. And but how many of us had a trusted financial partner to guide us along our journey? I mean, before we started earning our income, I know that at my dinner table, we didn't sit around talking about money or building wealth or investing. So that's why this personal finance ministry is just so important, to provide information and be around like-minded people. That is so crucial to reach financial goals. And asking the right person for help is also important. And it may be humbling for some people, but it can be disastrous if you don't do it. So I hope that each one of you will share your name and number in the chat for me to possibly set up an appointment, a time to give a complimentary financial game plan and talk about where you are on your financial journey. So I hope you'll give me that opportunity. So today my presentation is called How Money Works. And I will share my screen here with you, and we can get right into it. And I mean, basically, it's just concepts that were in Get Good with Money, and things that we didn't learn in school. And so this will be a revision for those who were in the book. And I know other topics that you had already covered, you say, in the time that this ministry has been having, you've been meeting. So let me just start here with the share and see from beginning. All right, here we go. So how money works. So we're talking about retirement, but did you know that only 20% of African Americans have enough money saved for their retirement? And I know that we all can look to and know people who are retired. I mean, are they living life on their own terms, or did they have to work longer than they wanted to? They work because they had to, not because they just wanted to. And I'm sure, even I wish I had started earlier with a financial game plan. So we're trying to avoid making those same mistakes over and over. And so at any point in time, now is the time to take control of your future. So you can't control taxes, you can't control inflation or Social Security, but you can take control of the things you can control. So first off, you pay yourself first. And I know this is a concept people have heard, but rarely do. It's normally you pay all your bills and what's left over, that's what you have to save. But in fact, you're supposed to take 5% off the top, and everything else you're supposed to work within. So that's something to strive for. And then set goals and have a plan. Obviously, you have a notion of what you want to happen, but it's not anything concrete until you put it on paper and make a plan. And knowing your financial independence number is part of that, because retirement is a dollar amount. It is not an age. I know that's what we're all programmed to think, because that's what the government has put it as, but it really is a dollar amount. And once you calculate that dollar amount, you can then make your plan accordingly. And to achieve your goals, you might have to adjust your priorities. I mean, I know in the book, she talks about, in your budget, you say the things that are fixed, the things that you have to pay, but vary monthly, and then those things that are totally optional. And so you have to adjust your priorities with those optional things so that you can take care of your older self. And realigning your assets, we'll talk about that a little bit later. Avoid the credit trap. I mean, good credit is good, but every time you walk into a store, they're trying to offer you a credit card. And I mean, that part is not good. So, and then you might find out you need to earn additional income. And if so, I hope you'll talk to me about that, because we always are looking for people to help us spread this financial wealth building message. So pay yourself first. What does that mean? Like I said, you take that 5% off the top. And what we do in our consultation is set up these 3 basic accounts: so emergency account, short-term account, and the wealth building or retirement account. Now, of course, you know, the emergency account is for things that happen unexpectedly, but things that you have to take care of. So, you know, going on that vacation because somebody just came out of the blue and asked you to go is not necessarily an emergency, but more so if your car breaks down, or, you know, if you have a medical emergency or whatever. So that's 3 to 6 months, if not more, of your expenses or your income into that emergency account. We all been through COVID, so we know that it can happen. That short-term account, if you can leave it somewhere for a little bit longer, we'll show you where you can put that money so that if you can wait 3 to 5 years, that'll be for your house down payment, for that dream vacation, for just anything that you don't want to put on your credit card, but it'll take a while to save up for it. And then, of course, your wealth building and retirement account. Now, it'd be lovely if we could have wealth building and retirement, but really and truly, most people, regular people, just, if you can save for retirement, that is the goal. And that's money that you will have the time and you consistently contribute to, and you put it somewhere where it can compound faster than, say, the short-term account and an emergency account. Okay, so pay off debt. That's the first thing. As you get closer to retirement, obviously you want to pay down your debt so that if you are working off your pension or Social Security or your IRA or 401k, whatever, then you don't want to have that extra, the interest rate and what you're paying for a revolving credit card. And this slide shows you the difference between revolving debt and a fixed debt with the same amount of money borrowed at 18% interest and the same monthly payment. It would take almost 3 times as much interest that you would pay in the revolving debt. And, over twice as much interest that you would pay. And just FYI, we know revolving debt right now is anywhere from 21 to 18%, 28% rather, 21 to 28%. And fixed debts usually are somewhere in the neighborhood of 9% or 6%, depending on what it is from the bank or a car loan. So the first thing you want to take care of is paying off that revolving debt and basically just using it as an advance before you get your monthly check and then paying it off as soon as you get your check. Now, this is an example of debt stacking, which is a strategy to pay down and pay off your debt. And basically it shows you that if you have a minimum monthly payment or whatever you have put budgeted toward paying off each of your debts, first you target one debt and pay it off. Now, some people think, oh, should I do the one with the highest interest rate? But really just pick the one that you can easily pay off so that you can get that small win. And then from that, you use whatever monthly amount you were putting toward that debt and then add it to what you are paying on the second debt. And you continue to do that for each debt until you finally, in this example, get down to your mortgage, which really, I learned when I got my first mortgage that if you pay your principal, additional principal every month, that you can cut years off of your total mortgage payment and also interest rate that you would pay. So this is an awesome way to pay down your debt. Now, obviously, it doesn't happen overnight, but you can cut down 15 years, let's just say from that example, in debt stacking and save over $130,000 in interest. So, I mean, it's definitely more advantageous to do debt stacking. Obviously, you could do debt consolidation, but that's just another loan that you would have to pay back. And this is part of that, you changing your mindset about debt. So the rule of 72. Now, this is a concept that investors have been using as a shorthand to determine where they should invest their money to get the most return. And it's something that I had never heard about before. But basically, it says if you divide your rate of return, the interest rate, into 72, that's how long it takes for your money to double. So let's just say if you have 4 children, right? And that first child, you know nothing about the rule of 72 and compounding interest or anything like that. And you put, in this example, $10,000 into a savings account, thinking you are doing a good thing. You know, by the time your child gets to the point where, you know, you can give them a check to put a down payment on a home or go to college or whatever. But using this rule of 72, 1 into 72 is 72 years. That means it takes 72 years for your money to double. So using the example of $10,000, your baby will be 72 years old, and that 10,000 will have just doubled to 20. So on that second child, you say, okay, 3%, that's good. And let me just say 3%, 6%, 12%, those are what we look for your emergency account at 3%, your short-term savings at 6%, and your wealth building and retirement account at 12%. Those are the rates that we look at when we put together your financial game plan. So at 3%, you say, okay, I'm doing better. I know a little bit more. 10,000. So 3 into 72 is 24. So it takes 24 years for your money to double. So at the end of 48 years, you'll have $40,000. I mean, that's a little bit better, and that's great for an emergency account. Your money is accumulating while you're, you know, hopefully not having that emergency. But if you had to get to that money quickly, you could. But now at 6%, where you can leave your money in for a little while longer, 6 goes into 72, 12 times. So every 12 years, your money is doubling. So now at the end of 48 years, you have $160,000. So twice the amount for interest, but 4 times the amount that yields at age 48. That's even better. But now look over here at 12%. Now, if you have the 48 years and the time and you're consistently putting in money, in this example, 12 goes into 72 6 times. So every 6 years, your money is doubling. So that at the end of 48 years, you have $2.5 million. That is amazing. And that's just putting money in and not touching it. But once again, you have to have the time. That's why it's so important to pass this information on to our younger folks, because there is a cost in waiting. And so the sooner you begin to save, the less you have to put away. So in this example, it's to get to $1 million at age 67. And if you started at 17, let's just say, or 18 when you started working, then you can retire at 57. But in this example, the goal is age 67. So at 27, if you put together, if you save $214 per month and put it into a vehicle that yields about 9% interest, you could have $1 million by the time you reach 67. But if you just wait 10 years, you'd have to put over twice as much money at $546 a month. So that gets a little kind of steep for a lot of people. But now if you wait to age 47, it's almost $1,500 a month. And most people start thinking about retirement around that 47 and 50 year age. So at age 57, over $5,000 a month. I mean, who has that to put into savings? At that point, you're probably living off of that money. And then let's not even talk about waiting until you're 62. Retirement is staring you in the face, and you would have to put in $13,000 a month to get to $1 million. So I think this demonstrates that it's best to start young so that you can put a lesser amount in and contribute to your retirement fund. Now, buying the right kind of insurance. I know that everyone is familiar with life insurance, but a lot of times people don't know what is the difference between life insurance. Now, our philosophy at Primerica is the theory of decreasing responsibility. So in the early years, you need a lot of coverage in life insurance because you have young children, you have debt, you have the house mortgage. So if one of the breadwinners in the household were to lose their income, it would be devastating to the household. But as you get older, your children are grown, hopefully you've lowered that debt, your mortgage is paid, you need money. So that is what we encourage people when putting together their financial game plan is buy term and invest the difference. But why do we say that? Because we know the downside to whole life insurance. It's goes by many names, and this example is Index Universal Life, but basically it's any life insurance where there is a cash savings component. And so what's wrong with that? Well, I guess that's the assumption that people can't save on their own, although we're in a time where technology makes it so that we can automatically save money. So that's not really an issue right now, but it was back in the day. But looking at a whole life policy and using this example here, you have two people age 35 and they get a $250,000 face value whole life insurance policy. And their monthly premium is $251. So their cash value accumulates so that in 30 years, at the age of 65, they have about $127,000. So the way that whole life insurance works is that if you, if one, in this case, they have a joint policy, each one 250,000. So if one of the spouses were to pass unexpectedly, would they get the $250,000 as the beneficiary? Would they get $250,000 plus the $127,000, the money that they put in? Or would they get just the $127,000? I mean, you would think logically that they would get the $250,000 plus the $127,000, but unfortunately, most contracts for whole life insurance, you would forfeit that cash value portion and just get the $250,000 face amount. And that is, once again, your money that you contributed with that monthly premium, but you sign that away in your life insurance documents. So that doesn't sound good. But the second downfall to whole life is that if you decided to take the entire amount of your cash value out, because I mean, it is your money and that's why you decide to get a whole life policy, you would have to surrender that $250,000 face value. So you don't get one, you don't get both, you get one or the other. Once again, your money and you're paying the premium. And then lastly, let's just say, just for a reason of an example, you could take that whole $127,000 out because you had whatever, you wanted to put an addition to your house or a roof on the house or something where you needed that kind of money. So the insurer right off the top would charge you a certain amount of interest. Now, most of the time in these whole life policies, your money accumulates at 3%. So using that rule of 72, what is that? 26, 20, what, $32? I don't know. Some small, large amount of years. Let's do the math. 3 and 72, what is that? 26 years, right? 24 years. Thank you, Miss Jan. 24 years. So that's a long time to have your money in there for it to just double, you know, like one time. So so you take the whole money out and you say, I'm going to do it anyway. And if something were to happen to John and he was not able to pay back that 127 before he were to pass unexpectedly, then Mary would then be looking for her $250,000 face value. But in fact, they would subtract the full amount of that 127,000 from the 250, and she would get the difference of like $23,000. And once again, none of that seems fair, considering that is your money that you contributed at monthly, and thinking that you had a savings component. But instead, we suggest that you buy term and invest the difference in a Roth IRA. And term insurance is just a pure death benefit, just like car insurance is just for a car accident, and health insurance is just if you get sick. And you're given enough time to accumulate wealth. Those things go hand in hand. Okay, so for the same $250,000 face value amount, they're paying significantly less for a monthly premium, in this example, $88. And then they are investing that $163,000 in a 9% Roth IRA. And at the end of 30 years, they will have accumulated over $300,000, which in fact, they have self-funded their life insurance. So they don't need to have life insurance again, because I mean, realistically, if something were to happen to you, it only costs, between $10,000 and $25,000 for a funeral. And then your beneficiaries would have not only the $250,000 for John, $250,000 for Mary, and that $300,000 investment if they're named as beneficiary. So it just makes more sense. And all of the financial experts agree that buying term is just better all around. And on top of that, you're paying that life insurance policy for your whole life, for your entire life. And really you don't accumulate that much. So now that you know about the rule of 72, you can invest your money better. And that goes into becoming an owner, not a loaner. And what do we mean by that? When you put your money in a savings account in a bank or a credit union, or using the whole life policy as a savings component, basically you are loaning your money to that institution for them to go directly to the stock market or global economy, use your money, and then pay you that less than 1% or 2% or 3% interest, and they keep the rest. So we suggest that you bypass those institutions and go straight to the global economy yourself. Now, I know a lot of people are a little squeamish about it, investing in the stock market, and they don't have the time or the energy or bandwidth to do it themselves. So we suggest that you use a professional management and invest in a mutual fund. And like, that's why Miss Jan is on right now, because she's a securities licensed professional. She can set up an IRA, and the IRA set up is usually with a mutual fund. Everyone has heard of a mutual fund, but this is just a general overview of what a mutual fund is. And basically it is where you and I, as individual investors who possibly couldn't afford to buy any shares or whole shares in Procter & Gamble, which goes for over $100 a share. But together we pool our money, and it's professionally managed. And then that money manager decides that these are the stocks, and in this case, it's the S&P 500, and it's 75 to 150 stocks on average that are in this mutual fund. So whereas you might not be able to buy a Netflix share, but you can buy into Netflix. And however the mutual fund performs, which the average stock market return for the last 100 years has been 9%. The only time that it has really gone down to zero was during the Great Depression. So it's a safer, less risky investment option. And so that's what we suggest for your IRA retirement account. So bottom line is, you can do it. I know a lot of people say, oh, I don't have enough money to save. I don't know how I'm going to get to retirement. I don't know what I'm going to do once I retire. I'm just going to have to work. But no matter what you can contribute to it, as long as you start and you pick like I say, and work with a professional and put your money consistently into an account, that you will get to a financial place that's better than where you are right now. And so the path to financial independence start with understanding these few basic concepts and then implementing them. So if you put together a simple plan and follow it, you'd be amazed at the progress you make. And like I say, if you put your name and number in the chat, and then I can contact you and we can set up a time to put together your financial game plan. I would love to do that. That's my name and phone number, email address, and the QR code with all of my information as well. So I hope that I can talk to each and every one of you. And definitely, I hope that each one of you thinks about and considers taking the information that you learned in this personal finance ministry and then taking it out into our community and building wealth in our community as well. And that is it. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And at this time, if we have any questions or comments about anything, need you all to unmute and so we can start a conversation.
My question is, after the 30-year term insurance, what is can you hear me?
Kind of, and not loud. Let me see if it's me.
It's probably me. I need my
Okay.
earpiece.
Okay, now I can hear you now.
Okay, good. My question is for the term insurance, because I do have Primerica, and I think this is something that I always ask myself, and I haven't talked to my Primerica rep to ask, but after the 30-year term life insurance, what next? Because
Well, that's why you're supposed to invest the difference, and that's why we encourage that investment portion, because over that 30-year period, that is your time to accumulate wealth. And from the slide example, basically you can self-fund your own life insurance and you don't need to pay a premium anymore for a policy.
thank you.
May I ask, dear, hello, how is everyone? So dear, did they happen to sell you the Roth IRA part to your portfolio? Did they mention that to you?
Yeah, I have the Roth IRA. I have the mutual fund with Vanguard, and I also have the Roth IRA with Primerica. Yes, I have both.
Yes, ma'am, then you should be absolutely fine.
Thanks.
Yes.
I'd like to just make a comment. First off, Ms. Bowles, great presentation. Very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. I can remember when Primerica started, it followed another organization that was named after a man, didn't it? Or
A.L. Williams. He's
A.L. Williams, there you go. Okay.
Mhm.
And a number of my friends joined, and I was on the threshold of joining. But the one thing that couldn't relate to very well was the term life piece, which is probably good advice. But it didn't feel right, so I stuck with whole life. And lo and behold, messed around, and here I am still alive. Well, I think I'm alive. Might not be alive. Maybe fooling myself. So now my whole life insurance has a significant cash value, but I guess it's a coin flip, and I think Primerica has thought it through and decided that the term life route is a better route, and probably it is. But I had Northwestern Mutual Life, which turned out to be a really good company, and they seem like they invested their money well, and so their cash values have gone up over the years. I'm just saying that was in the alternative. Having whole life is not the end of the world, I think.
Well, once again, I guess it just depends on what the interest rate that your cash value accrued.
Right.
Because once again, just using that example of the rule of 72, that's the main thing that you have to be concerned with. I mean, the route that you take is your journey, but with the information that you have, if you have, 30 years or 50 years of a policy that you're paying until what, 100 years old? Aren't you finished at 100 or 95?
I took it out of my former wife, and I think her policy ended at well, I don't have to pay anymore. That is the policy, either the policy generates enough premium to pay for itself, or her premiums are all paid up. But it's a significant cash value for the policy that I own that's on her. I think my policy is a little different, but it's still whole life.
Right.
I'm not really sure is the answer.
Right. So that would be the thing to look at, because you're paying for it your whole life. And yes, there are the life insurance policies where you are paying towards your premium and your premium is going up. And a lot of times people don't realize that in the end, they may have used up some of their cash value in paying for that premium, but you would know by looking at, your policy statement and talking to your insurance agent about that. But once again, the question is, did you get the most bang for your buck in putting it in that savings component?
Excellent question. And let me respond to part of that just really quick and say, along the way, there were times when I wanted to buy a piece of real estate, and I could call the insurance company and say, could you send me a check for X? And a day or two later, by fast mail, they would send the check, and then I could worry about getting longer financing or whatever, but it enabled me to go to auctions and the like and know I had the money available to me. So I'm not in any way contradicting anything you've said. I'm just saying there's a parallel story, and it seemingly has worked for me. If I hear a knock at the door, I just thought I heard a knock. If I hear a knock at the door, it's not a bill collector. Thank goodness.
So, if you don't mind, Mr. Sampson, I'm going to just elaborate on it a little bit more.
Yes,
So the biggest thing about cash value policies is that, yes, you may accumulate some money over the time, but the problem of it is that, God forbid, when you die, your beneficiary is only going to get the life insurance. So all that savings goes back to the insurance company. So those are one of the big hindrances. And then, yes, sir, as you said, they will gladly stroke you a check. But the amount of money that you took from that policy, that's where she went over the borrowing part. If you do not pay that money back with interest, then they will deduct that from your face amount. So if you had a $200,000 death benefit and you borrowed $50,000 and you choose not to pay that $50,000 back, it does accrue interest. And then when you die, you don't get the full amount. They deduct that amount out of that. And then I always just want to remind individuals is that, when you're saving your money in a bank, credit union, or even on the inside of your insurance policy, they're just reinvesting your money. When you go to the bank and credit union, and you can go right now and get a Roth IRA at the bank is only about 2%. So if you use that rule of 72, it would literally take your money 36 years to double. I always tell people, how many 36 years do you have in your life? Because certainly we're not Abraham, Isaac, or Jacob, right? Those were the Old Testament guys. So, but what they do is that they reinvest that money, flip that money into a mutual fund. So I always tell people, whether you're taking advantage of mutual funds, the global economy, the New York Stock Exchange, that money is always being reinvested, regardless.
So thus that slide, be a owner, not a loaner.
Okay. And just a couple more things. I just want to reiterate how critically important what Primerica does. The other thing that you did say, Mr. Sampson, is that back there, sir, when you were looking at Primerica, the biggest challenge we had back then, sir, is that Black Primerica franchises, we did not do the investment part. We weren't talking about investments. And that's because 15 years ago, African Americans weren't comfortable about talking about investments. That's why so many African Americans don't invest today. Quite a number of African American franchises, which that's what I have, African American franchises. We decided to do the better thing by our clients. So in my organization, we do the investment part. because if you only get the life insurance and you do not get the investment portion, then you will certainly be up a creek. And that's why that was, because we did not always do the right thing, because we were scared to do the right thing because we didn't know anything about it. And today, guys, if you look at the stats that are out there, it says that there's an article called Black Wealth that says that by the year 2053, African Americans are going to have a zero median net worth if African Americans don't start investing their money. So what my organization does, the name of my business is actually Big Kingdom Builders, right? Because I've been in the church Christian vicinity for over 30 years. So I understand the lack of understanding among the Black African American churches. So I do applaud you guys in doing that, because it's very rarely when I go to an African American church and they even know anything about Dave Ramsey, first of all, right? Because that's just something that we don't talk about. So I do applaud you on that. But what we do in my organization is that we do teach generational wealth. I am very interested in getting that 18-year-old and explaining to them, if you're 18 years old and you do save $214 a month and you do that for 40 years, that at the age of 58, you will be a millionaire. And that's what we need to do, because when we're talking to people in our age group, it's for you, but literally, guys, it really is for that child of yours, and furthermore, that grandchild, because if people our age don't start talking about investments and businesses like Caucasians, Asians, and Jews do around their kitchen table, we're going to have generational curses that's going to go all the way down to our grandkids. Okay, and we don't do it just in the state of Virginia. I do have over 20 something licenses, so we're just not limited for the state of Virginia to do what we do.
Okay, thank you.
I thank you, Ms. Biggs, for saying that, because I've been trying to figure out a way to do something for my grandson. And I'm just stating this to everyone because I know I didn't do it right, but I want his life to be better.
Exactly.
So I had thought about, how you always give your child a gift at birthdays and Christmas and all that. I wanted to start an investment account for him, but I have a hard time figuring out just how to make that happen, because what I've been hearing is it started out with just doing something for college to make sure, because of all the expense for college, that he would have college money and all of that. And it gets really difficult for me to weed through all of this stuff. The Virginia, what is the Virginia 429?
529.
Yeah,
529. 529.
Yeah, all these things. And what would be best to invest that money in? What would be the best road to go? You've given me some options here by telling us about all these other things like the Roth IRA and the mutual fund and all of those things. But I don't want there to be a limitation on him later on in life. Suppose he goes to a technical school and then go to college. I want him to be able to have money that he needs, so that he would be much better than I was.
Yes. So, ma'am, what I do for all of my clients, I do not do the traditional 529 just because of what you said. Okay. Ms. Judith did the very public, nice presentation for you, but in our regular presentation, I talk a lot more about Black wealth, because that's what's needed among African Americans, them understanding that we're behind the 8 ball in Black wealth. So, ma'am, I have a UPMA account for my grandson, and that's my grandsons and granddaughters, and that's what I literally put them in. So you can use it for college, you can use it for trade school, they can use it to start their first business, to buy a home, to sell the 7 C's, right?
Yeah.
And this is why, because we've been sold a lie, and that lie is a 40 by 40 by 40 game plan. And what that is that we are still teaching the same thing that our parents taught us, which is that you have to go to school, get good grades, and then go to college. Well, guys, if you have not realized yet that we have grown children that are in $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 worth of student loan debt, but they're living in their parents' basement, because we were told 25 years ago, because we look like we look, that we have to get a degree. So now you have African Americans that have more degree than a thermometer, but they're in student loan debt and they can't get out of debt, because now there aren't a lot of good jobs out there, right?
Right.
They're really not. So because we're still forcing our kids to go to college, they're coming out of college, and what they went to college for, it's not even in the marketplace. So we're taught to work 40, 50, 60 hours a week for someone else. We're going to do that for about 40 years. I've been doing Primerica now since 2004. So I've had a lot of experience with learning about this and where people end up. And after working 40, 50, 60 hours a week over 40 years, the average Black person that I meet with only has $40,000 saved for retirement.
Mm.
And I'm just not talking about somebody that works at McDonald's.
Right.
I'm talking about professionals. And it's all because we can't do something that we weren't taught. And I always tell people, you know, because I deal with a lot of churches, I deal with a lot of Christians. Unfortunately, we're so busy, and I do teach people that means being under someone's yoke, that when we have something like a Zoom session dealing with finances, where we should have just about everybody in the church coming on, we have a little few, because we're so busy grinding to make that dollar bill. And then when you turn around and end up being 58, and now that's the age that most people start thinking about retirement, in their 50s. Well, guys, Miss Judith showed you that you're gonna have to come up almost with $5,000 just to be able to retire. So I tell people, God never told us to be busy, but he did tell us to be fruitful. So in my business, I teach the principle of stewardship, right? From paying, you know, giving your tithes, right? Tithes and offerings, right? Letting that be part of what you do, along with paying yourself, along with, because everybody knows that Malachi 3, right? Where we rob God in our tithes and offerings, but no one knows the stewardship. Well, I know what to do with the 10%, but now what do I do with the 90? And that's what I teach people through my agents, how to do it on a very plain, simplistic level where you can get this.
Thank you.
If that makes sense.
Miss Priscilla, you need to put your name and number in the chat, and so that we could talk to you about that UTMA account for your grandson, and everyone, really, if you're in that position where you want to start something for the next generation, that is definitely an option, because we all seemingly already at retirement age or close to it, but we definitely can make a difference for our children and grandchildren.
And I'm not just telling you this, guys, because of what somebody's told me. I did everything wrong. My first husband did die when he was only 33. So I know what it's like not to have life insurance and have 2 kids. My daughter joined my business when she was 19. She's now 37, but because of these principles in Primerica, she did not miss the mark like I did. She will literally be able to retire at age 47.
I was trying to unmute so I could say amen to a whole lot of what you all were saying. I'm glad you followed up, because somebody was asking in the chat the account, and I put in there UTMA, but it's the UTMA. Who is that? The uniform?
Yeah, Uniform Transfer Minors account.
Right.
Yeah. So it's taxed differently from the 529. The biggest thing is that a 529, the parent is the owner, but in a UTMA, the actual child is the owner, and you can only be used for the child once you set it up. But it can be used for anything. It doesn't just have to be for college. And then when they turn age 18, they can pull it all out, or they can actually roll it into something else.
Yeah, I think that's important, because, you know, we watch TV, hear the radio, everybody's talking about the 529 accounts. And I think people know about the tuition monster and how to get at the tuition monster, but that's something that's very practical. The other practical thing I like you all talk about is, and Arnold talked about this to a degree, and, you know, Zelda and I, we had whole life accounts, and we went down that road. And then the first time I heard something negative about whole life was, and it's interesting, when we opened up for a lot of people who came onto this session, you all indicated that Dave Ramsey came from Primerica. And I indicated that Dave Ramsey, he has very strong opinions on a lot of things, which I respect. I mean, he's just very opinionated about things, and you know exactly how he feels about things. And he strongly dislikes whole life policies. And when we read his book, that stuck with me. So it makes sense, the background. He went through it, but you all covered it very well, what the alternative would be, to have a term life and then use the difference to make your investments, invest in yourself. Otherwise, you're not doing the right thing. But for those of us who have whole life policies, we're years into them, and we're hesitant to give them up. We know about the converting term to whole. Are you all able to speak about that? If we're getting offers to convert term to whole, is that something that's good, bad, neutral, or do you have any opinion on that?
Everything is by case individual. Everything that we do is personalized for that personal individual. So in our organization, if it doesn't make sense for you to come over to term right now and get the monies out of that and put it into a mutual fund or something, then we just tell you, hey, stay where you are. It really just depends on your age. It depends on if you have any other money saved. It depends on if you're in good health. It depends on all of those things. And I just want to take a pause break. Yes, Miss Colleen, I was just going to say, Susie Orman also hates whole life. So does Dave Ramsey. So does Dennis Carvier. So does Gary Kesey. Just about every financial person that's ever written a book does not like whole life. They tell you that it makes more sense to do term and invest. The difference is really generally now only people that sell whole life and TikTokers and YouTubers that are trying to get people to do whole life, index, universal life, and the brand new one around the block, which is infinity banking. But I do always tell my clients, it's the same old game with a new tone. That is the same life insurance Big Mama bought 60, 70 years ago that left Big Mama broke. And she paid for it 60 years. And at the age of 90, they still had to pass around the hat to bury Big Mama because they did not teach her how to accumulate wealth through investing.
Okay, I have a question. What happens if your child dies and you have an UTMA?
The beneficiary is still here.
Okay, so then basically as a parent, you should name yourself as a beneficiary.
Well, you are the custodian over it anyway, but yes, you
Okay,
would be the
all right, go
custodian.
ahead. Yeah, okay, just like the 529, because I have 529 for my 3, and it has helped. I just wish I had known about an UTMA because I could have really. But you can, there's no age limit on an UTMA, right? You can set that up at any time.
Well, anything that deals with a mutual fund, you're talking about time, rate, and consistency. So of course, if your child is 17 years old, it doesn't make much sense to do an UTMA because at 18, you can't put any more money in. So,
Okay, so once they're minor, whereas the 529, as long as they're in school, they can benefit from those the income.
any higher learning whatsoever. And I'm glad you bring up the children, because not only with the children with the UTMA, but one part we did not cover, even with the life insurance. This is where our company makes it a game changer with our company, that if you have 10 kids and all of them are now under 17 and a half, up to 2 years ago, it used to be 25. But because of so many young people dying, they lowered that age to 17 and a half. If you have 10 kids, all 10 of them get to ride on the same policy with their parent. You only pay for one child, and they are guaranteed insurability. And I always like to explain the importance of that. And this is why. A lot of African Americans don't understand that life insurance is based off of a risk factor. Okay. I tell people that if you're 5'4" and you're 300 pounds, you're not going to get life insurance. It doesn't matter if you don't have any health problems or not, you're considered a risk. A lot of African Americans don't know if you have a felony and it's not over 10 years, you are probably going to be declined for life insurance, a good policy anyway. If you have a terrible driving record, yes, you could be declined for life insurance. So that means a lot of times our kids make a left when they should have turned right. I have probably about 5 children now that are grown adults, but they're in the state penitentiary. The great thing about being a child rider on a Primerica policy, as long as on that 25th birthday, they did a conversion, your kid don't have to be anywhere there. I have an agent in Maryland, her son was in a coma on his 25th birthday. Now, from all reasoning, you would think a child in a coma can't get life insurance. But with our company, we've grandfathered those kids in. So even with him being in a coma, his mom came on our Zoom and we just did a child rider conversion, and now her son has 5 times the amount, which he is uninsurable if he had not been on a Primerica policy. So that is another perk of why we do what we do as well. And we also do the income and the incontestability clause, which means if you do happen to be with another company, and let's say it's been over 2 years, our company is the only company that offers this. On every policy, you have something that's called an incontestability clause, which means if you die within a 2-year period of time, this is across the board, all insurance companies do this, they're going to investigate to make sure you did not lie on that policy.
Excuse me.
But with Primerica, if you've had that policy with another company over 2 years, and let's say you need 300,000 with us and you had 50,000 with them, we bring that over, which means if you were to die before 2 years, as soon as we get that death certificate, our turnaround is normally about a 15 to a 25-day turnaround. We would literally send you that 50,000 once we get your death certificate, and the balance of that money that you had from us, that's what they would do the review on. So that is a different, we're the only company that does that, as far as I know, that honors that incontestability clause from another insurance company. If that made sense. If not, I can recap because I know it's quite a bit.
Yeah, can you recap about the adult child? Because my daughter's turning 25 and she just got kicked off mine, and I have no clue to what you just said about that at all.
Okay, so when is her birthday?
August 20, August,
Okay.
oh God, 8/10.
Okay.
August.
So yes, ma'am. So,
I don't know when her birthday is.
so you said in August?
Yes.
Okay, so you have more than enough time. So what happens, as long as you do the conversion either 30 days before, and you can actually do it 60 days before, but it has to at least be 30 days after, then she's covered. Primerica, if her birthday is in August, you should receive a letter from Primerica probably right around next month or June. And it's going to tell you that you can do the conversion, but it's probably easier for you the agent should be calling you probably in July saying, hey, let's do that conversion for your child. She doesn't have to be there. You only have to have the social security number, just basic information. But other than that, the only thing that's questioned on whether she smokes or not, because that determines her rate, whether it's based on a tobacco user or non, but she's guaranteed coverage no matter where she is, and she does not have to be present. And that's 5 times the amount.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Arnold, did you have a question?
Well, first I want to say, Ms. Walker, it's time to be honest with your daughter and tell her that she was adopted. That's why you don't remember her birthday. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
That
I'm
was
so
wrong.
sorry.
She feels that way already.
That's not what I want to say. I'm sorry, Ms. Walker. I didn't mean to say that. That came out of nowhere. The fact is, the fund for me, I just maybe dumb lucked it. The fundamental building block for me was real estate. Years ago, a class I took, expensive class I took, convinced me that the cost of housing was going to go up because the cost of labor would go up, the cost of bricks and mortar would go up, and that probably rents would go up. So, and you could insure real estate because it was solid. You could insure it and protect yourself. So I set about to acquire it, and having a whole life policy that was totally vilified earlier. I didn't have a chance to say anything because I didn't want to act like I gave birth to whole life policies. I didn't want to defend it like it was my child. But the truth is, it did give me money, a buildup of cash that I could get on a phone call after a certain point in my life, could call in a phone call and get a check sent to me so that I could acquire what I thought were bargains. And the goal for me was to try to put money into what I was told are appreciating assets that'll grow in value over time. And so the real estate for me has been the thing probably done the best for me. Just by owning it, just by letting time go by, the value of it has gone up. And I think many of us on the screen probably who have a property, their primary residential or investment property or both, would agree that in time our values our net worth has increased on paper, at least, because of the, increase in value. So that's how whole life has served me. I couldn't have done that with term life. And so I didn't feel I had the sophistication. I'm not a very sophisticated guy. And you can tell I was a sharecropper when I was young. Okay, I made that up. But the fact is, I didn't think that I could turn around and invest. And then, the investment avenues that I thought I saw were the stock market, and which involve mutual funds and stocks. But I can't remember what the other alternatives were, but they weren't investment avenues that I thought I could necessarily predict and manage. Real estate, I figured I could manage. I could see a place, determine whether I liked it, and make some kind of gut assessment of whether it might be good housing that someone else might want either to buy from me or to live in and rent from me. And that's the way I went. I'm in no way contradicting what you all have said, because you're spot on. But I am saying that whole life has worked for me, is working for me, and does give me a sense of security. But the alternative that you're describing so articulately is very cool. So good on you for having thought that through and pursued it.
You must have done that Robert Kiyosaki real estate class back there in the day. A lot of people were going through Robert Kiyosaki real estate.
That's the guy, Rich Father, Bad Father,
Yes, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah.
Actually, no, it wasn't. It was not him. There were a couple classes out there that were doing it about OPM, other people's money, and about and the Kiyosaki guy. My only connection with him is he is involved with an organization called Get Published Now. He's involved with them, and so is the guy who did the Chicken Soup for the Soul. And they've sold, a lot of books. And I try to get some books sold myself. But bottom line is, it was a guru, as you so correctly speculated. It was a guru who talked about how to acquire real estate with minimum money out of your pocket initially, and how to use other people's money to acquire, to pay for it. And once it's paid, you can either then keep it and have it grow in value, and and get the rents and the tax write-offs. Very important. That tax piece is very important. Or you could sell it and get the profit and go. But keeping it has a lot of advantages, and so only downside is you get 1,000 calls from people saying, "Would you like to sell your property? You can buy it in 5 days and with no expenses to you." No, I don't want to sell it. But good question, good comment, Ms. Diggs. Thank you very much for saying
Yes, sir.
And I do agree that real estate should be a part of everyone's portfolio. And especially when you get to our age, that might be the only way that you will have had an opportunity to accumulate $50,000, $100,000, $150,000 in one fell swoop. But for young people who are coming up now, whose credit might be horrible, who can't afford to buy a house, and that might not be an option. And then on top of that, the education piece of this to get your credit straight, so that you can have a credit score that could give you the opportunity to buy a house, is crucially important. So the situation was probably a little bit different when we were coming up. We didn't have the access to knowledge about investing in the stock market and all of that. But at the same time, we had, easier access to buy property. Now it's reversed. So, it's up to us to pass this information on to younger generations so that they can get out of the student loan debt, so that they can accumulate wealth in whatever form possible. And knowledge is power. So it's awesome that the whole life insurance policy worked for you. But at this point, people can invest a small amount of money, earn interest on it, and then use it the same way that you did. So it's possible to go on the same journey and take 2 different routes, but you end up in the same place. So yeah.
Yes, sir. And I would just advise Mr. Sampson, right, for you just to look at where your cash value is, sir, and see whether or not, you know, if you were to die, would you want them to keep your cash value? Because that still is the other alternative to that. Yeah, they do keep that cash value if something was to happen to you. And depending on where a person is, at some point in time, guys, you won't even need life insurance if you've accumulated enough wealth. That's just unnecessarily putting money into a life insurance company. We do have other products for seniors, as for older people as well. I do set up Roth still for people that are working, because that is a tax-free account. And then Miss Judith, she is certified to do annuities. So annuities can also be another angle that more seasoned seniors may want to go in, that maybe have a bunch of money in a bank only at 2 or 3%.
Yep,
And
yeah.
with an annuity, your principal is guaranteed. There is guaranteed no loss of principal, while you can still yet get yourself a better rate of return and see that money accumulate quicker. So as I said, everything is personalized, what's best for that client.
Are you all able to speak on long-term care insurance?
Unfortunately, we got out of the long-term care company probably about 10 to 12 years ago, Mr. Johnson. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But I do have that license, though I never sold it because we don't do it anymore. Is long-term care something that you should think about? I would normally tell people, look at the longevity of your family, the health of your family, and a lot of that has just to do with genetics. Because that is it is based off of your health. One thing that you can be declined for it. And the way that we tell people to set it up is that you do your life insurance, your emergency funds, short-term funds, long-term funds, your Roth IRA, your annuities, and then anything that you have left. Once you've done all of that, then yes, if you can afford long-term care, that is not a bad idea.
If I could just make a comment about long-term care, I'll keep it brief, I promise. I probably share this, and I'm so sorry if I repeat myself. I bought some long-term care insurance years ago. It was GE Insurance and General Electric, and they had gone into the business because long-term care policies had just been thought of as a great profit source for insurance companies. And at some point, they concluded that the underwriters had made a miscalculation, that maybe it wasn't going to be as profitable as they thought. So GE sold out to Genworth, which is in Lynchburg, Virginia. And I continue with my long-term care policy, foolishly thinking the premium would not change, my dumb self. Didn't read the print, but it did go. It did increase, but I stuck with it. And very recently, I got last year, I got a letter from them saying, well, there was a lawsuit, and as a result of that lawsuit, we're going to offer the policyholders of your cohort, of your group of policyholders, some options. You can retain your policy, but it's going to go up 270. The premium can go up 270%. Or it's a lot. It was a lot, because my policy, I think at that time was something like, I think it was like $8,000 a year. Or you can take some cash. They gave us some options. I took the option that said, give me a piece of cash, and then I'll have the most you'll have to pay me for my long-term policy, insurance policy, would be X amount. I've forgotten the amount, maybe a couple $100,000. But qualifying to get it is tricky. So when I had a health shutdown and tried to apply for it, one time I had something that followed me from Vietnam, and they did pay me money while I was recuperating, but the next time it didn't happen. It was I just couldn't meet the criteria, which is okay, no big deal. But it's not. There is fine print with that long-term care insurance policy. It's not quite the cat's meow that I hoped it would be. In fact, the alternative, this is going to sound crazy, but because I won't be able to have time to explain it, the alternative to long-term care insurance is buy a condo. That is, you can put a person who's getting sicker or getting older into a condominium. It's cheaper than putting them into a nursing home. And so all you had to do is pay the condo fee and go visit mom or dad or Uncle John.
Y'all want a condo?
Like that.
Or get the nurses that come
get
in
the nurse,
that
yeah.
need
Gotta
to.
get the
Yeah,
nurse, right.
you would have
Yeah.
to do that, yeah. So we used to be with Genworth, and like I said, so we got out of that years ago, probably about 10 to 12 years ago, when there was
Right.
so much controversy.
Right.
So that's why you want to be fully funded on everything else. And if you have the money, and you do read the fine print, right? Don't want to necessarily buy all those riders, but it could be beneficial based off of your genetics and your family, your hereditary.
Mhm.
Anybody else have a question?
Yeah, I have a question as it relates to annuities.
Yes.
Okay. One of the things that some people characterize the Social Security program as an annuity, kind of in a generic kind of sense, because I mean, you pay money into it, you can't, you get a fixed benefit, and you can't will it, no heirs or anything, to a Social Security that you've paid. So if I already have one of those going, why would I want to get another program to supplement that, other than because you can't control the money once you turn it over to the annuity. So why would a person, subscribe to an annuity program?
Well, I know from personal experience, Social Security only pays a certain amount. And so when you start getting that check, that is your fixed amount. And so, yeah, it's probably structured the same as an annuity. You get that amount of a certain amount that they say that you're going to get every month based on what you put into it. And really, it's not even based on that. It's based on what the government said you get in this year. So when you
Right.
get an annuity, once again, you put a certain amount in, like Ms. Jan said, people who have money in the bank where you're getting a really low interest rate, something like that, or you got a settlement or whatever, but you have a lump sum of money, then you would get a certain portion of that, basically the interest every month. I mean, it's a supplement. If you have Social Security, it's a supplement. Otherwise, it will be, your retirement fund, whichever. But what could hurt to get additional money? Because I know Social Security is not enough for me. So I have an annuity as well. And I have a Roth IRA. I am putting together as many things in my portfolio so that when cost of living goes up, which it does, 2 to 3% every year, I will be covered in hopefully in some form or fashion. And I still am working so that I can have more investments because it's not going to be enough. So yes, Social Security is set up kind of like an annuity. And why would you get an annuity? Like I said, if you have a lump sum of money that is sitting somewhere based on that rule of 72, not really accumulating anything as far as interest, then an annuity that yields you 6% is infinitely better.
But
And
you don't control.
piggybacking off that, Mr. Barton, I do understand how you feel, sir, because honestly, I've been in Primerica for 20 years and I was not that agent that sold annuities because I did not like annuities. So I'm not going to sell something that I didn't like. However,
Right.
in the last 5 years, sir, we have some companies now. There are different type of annuities. It's not just annuities now where you actually get a check every single month like you did through through Social Security. Most people don't like it because there was no beneficiary attached. So if you died and the money that was there, well, it went back to the insurance company. There are different type of annuities now. There are some fixed index annuities as to where you can pick the term. You can pick a 5-year term, a 6-year term. And at the end of that, sir, if you just want to accumulate some money and you don't want to annuitize, which means they're going to send you a check, you can just have that money there for a 5-year, a 6-year period of time just to get that growth. And then, sir, you can pull all that money out again. So it's not like the old annuities of yesterday where it has to be annuitized. Once again, that's based off of what the client want what the client needs and where they are financially, but you have all types of different annuities now.
Right, while we continue the discussion, I just put Ms. Bowles' contact information in the chat.
Thank you.
So if anybody wants to contact her phone number and her email, Judith, just make sure I think
That
we
is
put it.
correct.
All
So
right.
did you have a follow-up question, Mr. Barton? But I did just want to put that out there. The annuities are not like what our parents and grandparents had anymore. There are a lot of different alternatives out there based off of what the client now wants.
Well, you know, and I'm not, I don't know as much as you ladies know, and nor do I profess to know that, you know, but I probably like the old high school chemistry. I know enough to blow up my high school chemistry lab. So, you know, I don't know. So that's why I didn't go and become a doctor. I messed up in high school. But the thing though that I look at when you look at the annuity is because it's, you know, like I said, there may be some new pieces added on, but I understand from my limited knowledge that they cost to add those kinds of features to an annuity, and that most of it is front loaded as far as costs and expenses and those kinds of things. So I you know, and the other aspect is if I had a lump sum, I'm just asking, and I know we're not giving financial information technically, but I'm saying if I had a lump sum, why not put it in, you know, some of these treasuries or, you know, some of the other cash entities and have a beneficiary, and I could will it on to someone as opposed to, you know, the costs and everything that's associated, you know, with an annuity. I'm just saying. I'm sure you have a better answer than my question.
Well, as I was sharing, sir, that annuity that you're talking about, yes, that's still some on the variable annuities for sure. But over the last 5 or 6 years, they've come out with some different annuities where your beneficiaries, you can have a beneficiary on an annuity where they don't have any upfront charges. It's like just having your money in an account, but you're getting a higher rate of return than the T-bills, than your CD. And you just sit your money there, and they actually have different buckets where you put your money in, but your principal is guaranteed. So yeah, so that's why you would maybe want to do it just to get a better interest rate than what you get. Because I mean, if you are getting a 2% or 3% at the bank, but over here they say that you could actually get yourself at 8, 9, 10%, your principal is guaranteed, there is no loss. And let's say instead of getting a 9 or 10, you end up getting a 6 or 7. Well, it still beats out what you could have gotten from your credit union or bank. So you still make extra money. Because there are different annuities now that are more catered to people that don't want that front-loaded surcharge and fees and riders. That's so many annuities. So we have 1 or 2 products now that fit that client that don't want that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, sir. And I saw Miss Colleen. So Miss Colleen, did you have any other questions, dear? So I'm not sure, dear, if you are in contact with your Primerica agent. In my organization, we certainly do not like sort of intergapping if someone already has an agent. But if you do not have an agent that you've spoken to, you do not know your agent, and you would like Miss Judith to assist you, we can assist you, dear. And from that, if you would like for her to be your agent, we can do that proper paperwork. And that's only if you have not talked to your own agent, because in my organization, I do annual reviews with my clients. Normally every 3, 5, or 10 years, I actually meet my clients and we do annual reviews just to make sure nothing's changed, or whether we need to change something or add something or something of that nature. So
I have not spoken to my agent in almost 20 years.
20 years? Okay.
Okay.
Wow.
So yes.
Since the beginning, since we signed up, it has changed a few times, and I've not spoken to any. I'm going to go as saying, just to be on around 10 to 12 years at least.
20 years, you made a whole lot of money since then. You need to
to talk to somebody.
Keep my money alive.
Miss Colleen, Miss Colleen, do you
no,
want to put
This
your
lady
name?
travels the world.
Yeah, especially if you have that Roth, you should have some pretty decent income in there.
Yeah, I do have the Roth, but I know that I haven't spoken to, I know I've been divorced for 12 years and I know I haven't spoken to anyone since I've been divorced, so at least that.
Miss Colleen, do you want to put your number in the chat so we can get in touch with you, or you want to take my number, whichever you prefer?
I will put my.
I'll give you a number.
Say- Very good.
Thank you.
Yeah, situations change and it needs to be reevaluated as those life changes. So yeah, definitely need to assist you with that.
And we always
Is there
put in
any-
a shameless plug, if anyone is interested in making extra income, this is a great at-home position now. We also do Medicare. I don't think Miss Judith, I'm not sure if she even went over that. Prime America, we do Medicare, we do Legal Shield, we do Vivint Smart Home Security. So it's a numerous of other things. We are your Walmart. At Walmart, you can get bacon and eggs and walk down the aisle and get a lawnmower. Here I do everything from budgets to life insurance to helping people fix their credit. That's just a freebie that we do, our organization. And we are always looking for people nationwide that want to make great income in the business.
Ms. Biggs, this is Ella Wilson speaking again. I'm sorry, I'm traveling right now.
Yes,
but you know that Medicare, you hit on something there, because I didn't know it was so complicated once I got to a certain age and was trying to figure out my health insurance. So you have my number in the chat. I do need to speak to someone about that, because I currently have health insurance with my husband who retired, but I don't know if that's going to continue, or if I'm going to have to get supplemental B. And when I talk with his company, they tell me that, well, sometimes they don't get it. Some people don't get it and some people do, but they can't tell me why.
Well, if you already have
I,
health insurance, you can't get Medicare. If you already have health insurance, you can't get Medicare anyway. So you would have
but
to be.
it's his insurance that he retired with. So it's some other type of insurance that came along with him when he retired. But they said I could get supplemental B, but I don't know if I should.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, our Easy Medicare can, and actually that is the name of our Medicare, guys, Easy Medicare, because it is easy. In general, Medicare is not. It's a lot of bells and whistles. So what we do is that we have over 21 of the best Medicare companies in the nation. So we just do one phone call and they will meet you where you are and they let you know exactly what you have going on. And then they give you different options of what you can and you cannot do. And that is a free quote. So it's really great to finally be able to get understanding. Doing open enrollment, I have literally had agents have had their parents that have stayed on for almost 4 and 5 hours, just going over every single thing about their Medicare so they could be comfortable in knowing what they have. And that's what we do. So yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
She can do that.
Okay. And that they will be covered, because, I have some illnesses. I don't want to wake up one day and find out that I don't have coverage for it. So that's my concern.
And I am looking for Medicare representatives. It takes you 4 minutes. You can sell Medicare across the country. It only takes you 4 minutes. And every time you sell a Medicare, you make $150. So 20 minutes of your time, you can literally make about $750 across the country just selling Medicare, guys. The people that you know, all of our business are Medicare referral plans.
Are you saying that's a job?
Yes, ma'am. That's what I do. I go across the country and I train and develop money coaches. Right? That's what I do. So
okay. Well, you talk to me about that one too.
I teach people to do exactly what you see Miss Judith is doing right now.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And then Miss LaShara, this is kind of the end of the meeting, but like I said, if you want to put your number in the chat and we can reach out to you individually and talk about credit repair on off
And
screen,
LaShawn,
I guess it was.
Ms. Bowles' contact information is in the chat, so you can get her email and her telephone number in the chat. And I'm sure she'd be happy to
Yes.
talk to you.
Sorry, came in so late, but yeah, I'd be glad to speak to you individually.
He's been running a marathon. I'm surprised she's here at all.
Oh, very
Was
good.
it the 10K marathon?
Yeah, I did the
Yep.
10K. Yes.
Congratulations.
My daughter
Did you
and
win?
her husband was out there. They're the Fernandezes. They actually he has a tax business, she has a mental illness business. They ran that this morning as well. So it's not over.
Oh, it's over. It's over. But I saw Zelda, I saw your text message and I said, oh, let me click the link and y'all were still on. So
Did you win? We're gonna see you on the news.
no, you probably won't. But what was I gonna say? So the chat history, I can't see. I can only see from the point that I joined. So
Okay.
Oh,
so if you can
okay.
if you can repost
I'll-
your number or just
yeah,
send it to me.
I'll see if we can cut and paste. Yeah, you can-
Okay. Thank
Cop-
you.
Yeah, I'm gonna paste it right now. Change the name there.
Yeah.
credit.
Yeah.
So to
All
the
right,
concept,
just
we
go.
would love to come back and do another one. If you would love to have Miss Judith to come back at any time. We do a lot of group churches, so any type of groups, any young people, we do all of the above. One-on-ones, we do a lot of one-on-ones as well. So any way that you would think we could benefit your congregation, we would love to be able to do that.
Definitely.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay,
We will
thank you.
definitely follow up with you on that. Before we leave, were there any other thoughts or comments that anybody had?
I see Jill Scott.
Yeah, Jill Scott was on.
What?
Oh, Jill.
What?
It looks like her. It's a lookalike. Siobhan.
Did you say Joe Scott? Because there is a gentleman by the name of Joe Scott that's a regional vice president in America.
No, they're talking about someone that looks like Jill Scott.
Okay.
Picture.
The picture looks like Jill Scott.
Yeah, Siobhan. Okay.
Just want to say thank you very much for the information. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. We'll be reaching out to you to set up a time and date that's good for you.
Okay.
And Colleen put on the chat, she said, I think it was direct to us, but she said her daughter was going to buy a house.
Close on
a house soon.
on Thursday.
Her daughter, same age as our daughters. When you get her daughter, talk to our daughter.
Yeah.
Tell her to see if she can't set up for bi-weekly payments.
Right, so she can pay down that mortgage faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had that conversation already. She works for an accounting firm in which she's in, so when it comes to the investment and all of that, they have her taken care of and I got her taken care of when it comes to the housing part. So
Awesome.
If she needs a Vivint, Miss Judith is her lady. Vivint Home Security.
oh, I have them now. Okay, I'll make sure she comes through you for that then. Okay, good. 'cause
Thank
I have
you.
it too. So, okay.
And there's some kind chats in the chat box. Dr. Caldwell and Ms. Knock, Joanne Knock, complimented you, the two of you. And
Oh, thank you.
so, all right, so we're hitting that hour. It's getting late in the day. And so we're just going to bring this to a close. Our next meeting will be on Saturday, May 11th. And we'll be picking up Ms. Alice's book.
Right before Mother's Day?
Oh, no. Because everybody has to spend all their money on the Mother's Day gift, so we need to make sure they're doing it. Not blowing their whole life savings on a Mother's Day gift. Are there any Mother's
Just remember Christmas.
Saturday? It's not a weekend, it's Mother's Day.
I want
It's
to make
Mother's
it
Year. No.
and just remember everything that happens at Christmas depends on what happened on Mother's Day.
Amen.
We'll make sure we
Oh
tell
my
everybody if they've
goodness.
not got their mother a gift, they need to go out right away and get their mother a gift to fall in it. So, Dr. Stubbs, will that work? Okay, all right.
We'll remind everybody.
We'll remind everything. But yes, the day before Mother's Day is our next meeting, and at 11 a.m. we'll pick up with Ms. Alice's book, Chapter 7, 60% Whole, talking about invest like an insider and retirement and wealth. So everyone's free to read up on that before we pick up on that. And then I've been talking to Brother Barton, talked to him informally to see if he'll be available in June, perhaps, to, he's spoken to us multiple times in the past. He's the Department of Education, knows everything about student financing college, and he's given excellent presentations. And so be thinking about questions you want to ask him. I know there's a lot of chaos with the FAFSA system out there. I've heard some news about that. So if you all have any thoughts about that, then he'll be certainly willing to talk to you. We just need to square off a date with Brother Joe. All
So,
right,
Brother Johnson, could we just log off now, sir, or was there anything else?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I
Great
really
presentation.
enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, bye now.
And so we're just going to close out in prayer. Send everybody.
There's something in the
There's
chat.
one more person to. Oh, they put some more information about.
Oh, Siobhan Sampson. Oh, you're from America. Oh, okay.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Beautiful picture.
Thank you so much.
All right, we're gonna close out in prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for a wonderful meeting. Thank you for this wonderful presentation by wonderful people. Bless everybody on this call. Bless their families, bless their finances, bless their health, bless their well-being. You're great and magnificent. You can make all things possible. We put our trust in you. It's in your son Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you everyone for coming.
Hey, Siobhan is family. She's a West.
Oh, really? Oh,
My daughter, she's Gwen's daughter. Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
I thought you looked familiar.
Yeah, thanks for the invite. We will be reaching out.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, your name, I can't see you. Is that Yana?
It's Gwen.
Gwen. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I'm on my old computer. I haven't put my name in.
Oh, okay.
My
Hi,
old computer.
Gwen.
Hey.
You got some new glasses.
Well, I have several. Stay tuned.
Good to see you.
All right.
Good to
See you.
see you. Absolutely.
Great to see you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.